This is a facilitated discussion. We'll be reflecting in the previous presentation from the two cities, that is Kisumu and Tunis. And this session is going to be facilitated by Barbara Emmanuel, who is the chair of RUAF board and the former manager of the Toronto food strategy. Barbara Emmanuel, welcome. Karibu, Barbara.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I hope you can hear me. There's a very big storm here right now, so I'm hoping that the internet doesn't go out, but so far so good. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks to Paul and Amna for their great presentations. We always seem to run out of time. I just a quick personal reflection on the presentations to date is that I think it's a very common experience for cities across the world to be subjected to governance changes that are beyond their control. That was certainly the case for us in Toronto, which had a very long and strong Food Policy Council and food strategy and a very long history. And then all of a sudden there were political changes that resulted in fewer resources and less capacity. So if we've got time, we can talk more about that. But I'm going to move straight over to welcome Rose Achieng, who's the nutrition officer at Kisumu County, and also welcome back to Paul and Amna. Rose, I have a question for you as the nutrition officer. If resources can be secured to support the multi-stakeholder platform on a continuous and permanent basis, what would that enable the county government to do that it can't do currently?
Thank you. Okay, we have 4 points that would be successful if we have more funds. One would be support running of day-to-day secretariat administrative activities. Then we also have coordination and collaboration, and this would be amongst the sister department ministries, maybe the civil societies and any other NGOs that would be having the same objectives and missions towards food security and the multi-sectorial platform success. That would mean dialogues among diverse stakeholders to align resources and interest. And then we also have support policy and advocacy. So under advocacy in the recent past, we saw during meetings other NGOs or collaborators that were able to help in achieving the writing of 2 strategies that the county got last year. And then on policies, how to come up with the best policies anchored on the national government. And we also have the last point on the issues of M&E. It would also strengthen monitoring and evaluation of the success of the multi-sectoral platform, which we do not have currently. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Something very desirable to get that kind of stability. There's so much that can happen. I'm now going to ask the same question to both Paul and Emna. Paul, if you can answer first, and then we'll go to Emna. You both indicated some dislocation or incoherence between different governance levels, whether it's between the county and the city, or through institutional or constitutional division of responsibilities. Can you give us an indication of how far your national government acknowledges the importance of food systems work and any supportive policy frameworks or funding mechanisms from the national level? Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Barbara. First, to put that my answer into context is that food systems and agriculture issues generally in Kenya are devolved functions exercised by the county governments. But of course, there is support from the national government. The national government mainly deals with issues of national policies, standards, and regulations. So the government has several policies and regulations that govern the food system nationally and don't have an impact in the local food system for the counties. For example, there is a National Food Safety Policy 2021 that was developed by the national government, and of course, all the counties, Kisumu included, and of course, Kisumu City is one of the agencies under the county. However, it is important to note that the relationship between the national and the county government in terms of food systems is somehow problematic. If I can give a specific example, in the last 2 years, the national government has been providing some subsidy on fertilizers and other farm inputs to improve food production in the rural areas in all the counties. But currently, there is, because of the issues of devolution, there is a debate on whether the national government should involve itself in distribution of fertilizers, given that food production or agriculture is a devolved function. So that's just an example of some of the challenges. But of course, yes, the government sets the policy agenda for the whole country. The national government, that is. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Emna, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. I think it's the same. I think it's in the national government in Tunisia, they consider food as like a national security matter. So this is why there is a concentration, there is a focus on that the government is setting the main guidelines for agriculture and food policy. So I mean, and the national is really focused on securing access to food. I mean, the national it's subsidizing basic food products for everyone. I mean, it's universal subsidy, and then it keeps on subsidizing this even if the government, I mean, the whole Tunisia, it relies on imports on the main basic food products. So yeah, what I wanted to say regarding to this, there are two things. There are like the food and agriculture policy in Tunis, it stayed, I mean, Tunis is over Tunisia, I mean, it's over a 70 years state, I mean, post-colonial state, and the food policy kept on changing with the period. And with the periods, I mean, with the global context, but also within the national political context. So there is no one fixed direction of food and agriculture policy. So this is one thing. The second thing is like the importance that the government or the state is given to food system work remains, I mean, national. So there is no importance of the local mandates of food governance. So even if there is like a national council, a high national council of food security, which does not recognize, I mean, municipal or local mandates of food system as like a whole, a holistic food system vision. Yeah, maybe I'll stop there.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank
so
you,
cities, local governments have common issues with very local specificities. So I'm going to move to the next question. And again, I will ask to both Emna and Paul, and maybe Emna, you can respond first this time. In Tunis, there have been frequent and substantial changes in the focal point for food systems work. And in Kisumu, there's no specific department at the city level that coordinates food systems issues. So my question to both of you is, how do you ensure that all separate city departments with a role related to food can continue to be engaged in food systems issues and are also engaged in the multi-stakeholder platform? Emma.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That is the challenge. So yeah, I think that a facilitation work is needed. I mean, it's an innovation and creativity in facilitation work is needed. I mean, one of the key elements that are discussed now, that are present in discussions in Tunis within the AfriFood Links project, but also with the core team or the key small group of actors, is like it's the capacity building and the empowerment of municipal officials. So the main departments or the relevant departments that are related to food in the municipality, the idea is to empower the maximum of officials or technical staff there to build like a kind of a pool, a group of the biggest number of people possible, for them to have the ownership, for him. And this is also to ensure some kind of sustainability, because yeah, what Paul said related to FLAC in Kisumu, it's also the same in Tunis. Things are a lot project driven, external funding driven. So empowering technical municipal staff and working with them on having like a food system vision within their work, within their original mission, would be key.
Great, thank you very much. And Paul,
efficient participation.
Yeah, over to you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Emna. I think for Kisumu, what we've done to engage and keep engaging these departments is to continue sensitizing the relevant officers from each of the departments on how the multi-stakeholder platform and its processes can be able to assist them in achieving the mandate of their various departments. For example, we have people from public health, people from the Ministry of Health, that's the Department of Nutrition, people from trade, and all of them have the mandate of their departments, including even some of the NGOs also have their mandate. So what we try to emphasize is to let them understand that the multi-stakeholder platform is enabling them to be able to achieve the mandate of each of their departments. And in that case, we are able to win them over and have them continue participating, and we continue to work together towards a sustainable food system for the city. And of course, for each of the participating departments, we endeavor to get some commitment from the heads of departments, some written commitment that they'll be participating in this process, so that even if the head of the department is not available, then the officers in that department are at liberty to engage with us in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So, in some ways, this is very much about relationship building right across the city, relationship building wherever possible with national government, relationship building with people in the community, with producers. So that's a key element. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on to the next question. We could have a full webinar just on this issue. But I'm going to bring us back to the discussion about inclusivity that Jess and Gareth also talked about. And so Emna, maybe you can answer first, then Paul, but you both mentioned the importance of inclusivity in your multi-stakeholder platforms. Which of the strategies mentioned by Jess have you used to promote inclusive engagement and meaningful participation of underrepresented groups, including perhaps informal sector workers? And do you have any other strategies that haven't been mentioned up to now? So, Emna.
Yeah, the first reflection would be none, none of them. But yeah, because Jess shared with us how to consider inclusivity in participating in meetings of multi-stakeholder platform. And since we are not still yet there in the work in Tunis, let's say that there are also two important points maybe to share in this discussion. The first one is what has been done lately is to ensure that the small group of key actors that are supporting the municipality work integrate local associations. I mean, associations that have like strong voices for food sovereignty, right to food, right to environment, right to a lot of so those associations has been integrated in this small group. Also integrating the consumer organizations, also the consumers organizations. So this is the key first step into inclusivity. I mean, to make sure that that small group is not formal, I mean, with FAO, municipality, and some technical governmental department. So this is the first thing. The second thing would be there is a lot that idea of we don't know a lot about informal sector in the Tunis cities. So we don't have information. So our understanding of the food system is how to analyze policies that exist and how to analyze the relationship between formal actors that are legally registered somehow. So the idea is to extend the knowledge or to share more knowledge on the informal sector to be able to know, to adapt strategy, how to be inclusive with certain actors that are in the informal space that is still unknown.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Emma. And Paul, what do you think?
Just briefly, one of the strategies, I think I can get two that were mentioned earlier that we are also practicing. For example, holding meetings in neutral spaces where we try to avoid holding the meeting, let's say, in the municipality boardroom, because some of the informal sector players may feel intimidated. So we go to a neutral space where they'll be able to participate freely, and also accessible places where they can easily access. Secondly, we encourage contribution in the meetings in any language, including the local dialect, and then someone translates if there are people who can't get what the others are saying. So those are things that I picked that we're already practicing. But also, again, we are sensitizing those stakeholders of that the multi-stakeholder platform is here also to contribute to their welfare. So even if they are in informal sector workers, then they are motivated to speak and speak freely and let their ideas come through. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Such an important issue to be inclusive in all the work that we do, all the policies we do. I now want to see if there are any questions from local government officials who are participating in this webinar. Is anyone interested in putting forward a question or a comment? We would love to hear if the experiences of Kisumu and Tunis and the other presentations resonate with your own experience, and have you learned anything from Emna or Paul that you can apply in your context?
I'm Andrea from Milan, Italy, if you want.
Great. Hello.
Okay. Hello. Thank you very much for this webinar, for the high level quality that we see in this presentation. I want to express the experience that we had, not just as city, but also as project manager and coordinator of a European project, Food Trails, working with other 10 municipalities, completely different municipalities in Europe. And we focus on advocate our role as a city. Is a point that today was discussed. Why we are so important at different levels of the governance to bring our voice to different institution. For us, our role was to bring our voice to the European Union. But sometimes we understood through the different cities that sometimes we need to speak with different levels of governance. We need to speak with regional level, especially when not just funds, but regulatory organizations are in touch with the regional government. Sometimes with national level, when we need to change some rules, especially when we speak about managing public assets like schools, public canteen. So we need to organize our different level of governance. We have in our internal governance, different level of governance. So we need a map to analyze this. That's why I put in the chat an example how we organize, and at a glance we can see a picture of how we are organizing our governance in 11 cities with this multi-level governance grid. It's just an example. It's a tool that helps us to have an idea on where we can focus our attention in terms of gaps or strength in our governance. And I think it can be interesting also for African cities. I want to conclude to say that the point for us is the intersection between the horizontal and vertical elements, dimensions of the governance. In that interaction, we can do something. We can do something in terms of cities. We can play our role through, as I say, managing public assets, using public money that we can bring the attention to our departments to bring to the food policies, because we need to convince our colleagues in the municipality that food policies is important, like mobility, culture, health. This is the point. And of course, working on managing direct services like public canteen or food waste resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes, there's so much we can learn from each other all over the world, because there are so many common issues that we face at the urban level in terms of our lack of resources and our lack of legal capacity when national government determines it. But at the same time, there is so much we can do at the city level. And frankly, there's so much we have to do going forward, because we are the government closest to the community. We see the impact of these, the policies and impact of all the pressures that come to the local level. Anybody that wants to very briefly jump in and comment on what we've heard here, and anybody?
Thank you very much, Michael. And as Barbara was saying, we need to continue this discussion. It's impossible to now take out some key points to summarize this lively discussion. That's why I would like to compliment first the speakers and the facilitators for this great discussion. Also, the Q&A was also in the box, very lively. And we'll continue on this topic with AfriFood Links, with our cities, with all our partners. And as mentioned, Michael mentioned, we'll also continue and pursue this discourse in the community of practice. And we have been working with a number of cities, and in the discussions that you provided forward, it resonates very much what is going on in Cape Town, which was presented, but also in Mbale, in Ouagadougou, and they are all in different stages. And there are many lessons to learn for these cities. So some of the takeaways, I think, first of all, governance, I think it's very key. It's a process. It looks complex, it is complex, but it's a process in which each city or city region has its own history, characteristics, and challenges. And it's good to be aware of this different form of governance. You cannot involve all actors, but there are different tools of involving different actors at different times. As was just mentioned in the case of Kisumu, sometimes you need to reach out to another level, or in the case of Milan, to another level of governance. And sometimes the decentralization is there, sometimes it's not yet there. And one key element there, I think, is to bring that information then again back to the platform that you are involved in, whether it's at the city level or whether there are multi-level elements of governance present. I think very helpful there is also to be able to make choices. What food system do we have? What food system do we want? And using this resilience, for instance, as a key indicator in deciding on the city region food system. Inclusivity was mentioned a number of times, and in the Q&A it came up that also being aware of power and power relations is key. I would like to add some topic of finance streams. Partners, not all those who have power and finance available are around the table in the meetings that we organize. And I think that Jess also brought up an important topic, that communities, they are organizing, whether in a formal or informal way, their food system. So also this is key to get to consider. I also saw the differences in how we understand food system and its government. National agencies dominate financial flows, and this is key up to the council. But cities have a specific role. I think that was highlighted also with Garrett and illustrated in a number of cities. And two elements again I would like to emphasize: urban planning still acknowledged as an important aspect of where the municipality comes in, but not yet everywhere put in relation to food. And as I just mentioned, also the financial streams. Many finance organizations, finance banks, for instance, do not have the tools to make finance available at a local level in adequate means. I think another point that came up was start where you are. There are many different entry points. Sometimes the process drops, sometimes champions step out, and you have to start all over again. This continuous facilitation, continuous sensitization, and communication are important elements in these governance processes. Not to forget leadership, and not always the same leaders, but leadership. Where do we want to go to? What did what did we already do? What did we learn? Are important elements there. And monitoring was mentioned by Rosa from Kisumu. Is also, we forget sometimes, and we need finance for adequate monitoring and communication. So in a nutshell, I think continuous facilitation, mediation is important. It needs time, and we need continuous agreement and reflection on what food system do we want and do we need. And with that, I'm sure I didn't capture everything, but for me, these were important points. Thank you very much.